Hey y'all, it's Stevie. Karl Rove is the devil, and this is the first video in my little mini series on the Texas GOP's playbook. I'm making this series because I think it's important for everyone to know that these motherfuckers aren't running anything special. They don't have a magic wand. The closest thing that they have to a magic wand is Karl Rove behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz. We all know the Wizard of Oz wasn't shit. He was just able to pull the wool over a lot of people's eyes. That's pretty much it. And that's an entirely different miniseries that I'm definitely going to work on because Karl Rove is the devil. Now, with that said, the GOP, they do have a lot of money consistently. But as we all know, money doesn't win elections. We do. And if you take a look at the screen, you can see that in 1994, the Democrats were in the exact same place the Republicans are in right now. And all it took was for Ann Richards to lose that election and for George Bush to win. All of this started with just winning the governor's seat. And if you take a look, it only took them less than a decade to hit the trifecta. I mean, I got time. You got time? We got time. So the major ways that they've been able to do that is by centralizing power and by starving the cities and the counties. And they're able to do those things through legislation, through using the media, political operatives, and fucking around with the elections in various ways. And now they're just coasting on a huge amount of Texas voters who are apathetic, and another huge part of Texans that have been thoroughly propagandized. But I kind of want to start at the beginning. So, 94, Richards lose, Bush is in there. And the talk about minimum wage is happening. The federal government is talking about raising the minimum wage. And in Houston, Houstonians are talking about raising the minimum wage. And this is the Texas Observer in 1997. And I just really thought it was cool to kind of look back and time travel to see what this magazine cover looked like. And I circled the important part in this article, which is Corpus Christi Senator Carlos Truan, I guess, basically asked John Lindsay, who was a senator from Houston, and funny enough, he left the Harris County judge office because there were some accusations of bribery. And none of that ever went to court or was handled. But anyways, little tidbit for you there. So Lindsay's asked about, hey, I thought you guys were all about local control. What the fuck is up, man? And Lindsay basically said, that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make in order to save Texas from Texas having a living wage. So now remember, this is 1997. They do not have a trifecta at this time. And this is another article in the Houston Press, which used to be a pretty good publication back in the days. And they're kind of talking about what's going on with the minimum wage thing, right? They're talking to Save Jobs for Houston Committee, which of course is a conservative PAC or group basically that is opposing the efforts to raise the minimum wage. And just to be clear, the ballot measure did fail in Houston. The voters voted and they did not pass it. Now, I imagine, and I'm still looking for articles through newspapers, I imagine there were all kinds of opinion articles in newspapers, billboards, commercials telling Texans that if you raise the minimum wage, all of our jobs are going to go overseas and the businesses are going to shut down and blah, blah, all the things. Now, with that said, I'm not at all saying that there was not some truth to that and some businesses would suffer, but there's evidence in several of these papers that I've read where people had already gone to the 650 and were fine. I think it was on the East Coast, like New Jersey, New York, something like that. And the standout person or the standout entity in this was a gym. HEB had already raised the minimum wage of their employees. Meanwhile, their competitors donated money to defeat the ballot measure to raise the minimum wage. So it is really good. If you are a Texan like I am a Texan, doesn't it feel good knowing that HEB has been on the right side of history for a very long time? This is 1997, and they were already behaving as the HEB that we know today, who's here for Texans. So Shout out to HEB. But I also love Kroger's because they do allow for their employees to unionize. So go Kroger's as well. But further in the article, basically an HEB representative says that productivity has increased, employees have increased, and that was the same thing that was reported when I read the other articles about places that had raised the minimum wage in other areas. And lots of states and counties and cities are raising the minimum wage at this time. But Houston was shut down by its own voters due to conservative opposition who was happy to mislead the public as they usually do. And this is an article from 1997, Houston Chronicle, where again, that's Lindsay up there in the photo. And ultimately, this bill actually passes in 2003 once the GOP captures their trifecta. And yes, the Republicans did have a significant amount of money from the business communities, CEOs, business owners who invested a shitload of money so they could put up billboards, take out ads, and really flood the media and flood the lines with their position. And not sure if the other side, the Democrats, have that. But what the Democrats do have is people that are passionate. And it's time for the people that support the Democrats to start being present at these city council meetings, Harris County Commissioners Courts meetings, sending in letters to the opinions department at the Houston Chronicle. Make yourself known so that you can start being a headline, so that we can start speaking up and maybe controlling the narrative a little bit better. And the best headline that I can think of right now would be a shakeup at the constitutional amendments election. It is low cost. All you have to do is fucking show up and reject every single one of their amendments. That's all you got to do. At a high level of turnout, maybe 30%. Our highest turnout that we've had as a state has been like 11%. If we could get to 20%, if we get to like 30% and reject every single Republican amendment, it would send them in a tizzy because that shit is not in their playbook. Their playbook is for us to not vote and to sit out everything. That would concern them. And ideally they would start making some mistakes and fucking up. But more importantly, hell, I want them to be a little bit rattled. I'm infuriated that they were sitting and just on their phones at the last session and completely ignoring everything that was going on while the Democrats were speaking. I'm infuriated. So if you feel the way that I do, if you want to change, if you want to do something different instead of everything that the Democrats have been doing for the past 40 years, repost this video, drop hashtag reject Texas GOP in the comments, and frankly, start using that hashtag regularly and telling people about it. We can get it done. And the best thing, if we were able to successfully pull it off, would be the headlines would be inspiring other Texans and non-voters to come out and vote. And that could give us the push that we need, the energy that we need, the excitement that we need to shake things up.